Welcome back to 1010's podcast. My name is, of course, Michael Beck. I'm here with Adam Nielsen and the king of CrossFit himself, handsome Rob. Rob's responsibilities.
We're starting over. Nope, it's not. Nope.
We're rolling with it.
I have never been to a CrossFit. You can't even say it. That's not fair.
I don't believe that.
Swear to God. I have never been to a CrossFit.
There used to be a CrossFit place on my way home, like right there on the edge of Nevada.
Yeah, there's like 3 of them.
Well, right there on the edge of Nevada, there was one. And there were always hotties working there. And then they moved to the other side of town, and now it'd be like way out of my way to drive there, so I just don't. But I really miss that, like, part of my day.
I know. Now you got to miss out on all those hot, ripped dudes. I get it.
CrossFit, bro.
What are we doing here? We're doing a podcast. Let's talk about our social media stuff.
Podcast about CrossFit.
Nah, we're not doing a CrossFit. You can find us at 1010's Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, the number 1010's Podcast on Twitter, 1010's Podcast on Car Throttle, and 1010's Podcast.com.
Where we have a newish section thing where I've decided that we need to have all of our episodes up there. There's a little player. You can click on it. You can listen to the episodes there. And from the Dudecasode moving forward, we will also have links to all the news articles so that you can click on them, you can read them, you can leave us comments about them, and then we can tell you how wrong you are.
Or you can tell us how we butchered facts in the episode, which we typically do.
Yep.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
So the cool thing about that is we have the galleries up there for each episode. So when we do stuff, we try to take pictures of it. So that stuff's up there now.
Yeah, I got some of the Formula car. I got some of the electric cars. I've got the GTR. I've got some crazy things that Excessive made for Josh Fettis's episode. I was a busy beaver this weekend.
If you are one of those folks that likes to listen at work on your computer, you can do that easily now from 1010spodcast.com.
1010spodcast.com. It's the only website you need.
And I have metrics for that website so I can see when people visit.
Oh, boy. You can see his true motivation.
Yeah. I love analytics.
Adam is tracking you.
I love analytics.
You are the analytics master.
The analytics master for sure. I'm fine with that.
So we are doing a different episode this week because when this comes out, we will be coming back from grid life, surely sunburned and hungover. And
tired. So tired.
So we're probably getting ready to get in the car right now if you're listening to this at noon on Sunday. So we're going to be heading back. But even though
it's a crazy week.
Even though this is a short episode, we should have lots of features on, probably not on the website, but on all of our social media stuff. So we encourage you to check that out. We're going to attempt to do a live streaming, which will probably fail epically.
Oh, yeah. That'll be fun.
That'll be fun to watch, too.
But we will try that anyway. We're trying to get several interviews lined up this week as well so that we have, hopefully we'll have some extra episodes to release in the next couple of weeks.
Yep. I expect to see lots of stuff on Twitter and Instagram. We're going to be posting just random pictures as they happen. So I'm just going to load up Instagram this weekend. So if
Can you do live stuff from Instagram, or do you have to record it and then post it?
Yeah, record it and post. So I'm just going to post pictures.
And I don't know.
Basically, they're all going to have the same hashtags with a few extra things thrown in there once in a while.
Drift slut. Drift missile. Lots of drift things.
Drift, for sure.
EDM salute.
EDM.
Ooh, yeah. We're going to find the slutiest EDM girl we can. And we're going to post a picture of her on Instagram.
That might get us more traffic than anything we've posted so far.
Oh, it almost guaranteed.
Oh, my God.
We might actually get some followers.
I think Instagram partially exists for halfway decent-looking girls with cars.
Pushing the censoring limits.
I don't know about that.
That's the other thing that Instagram loves, or the Instagram users love to do.
I don't know about that, because they will kick us off there
I'm not saying
fast.
we should do that. I'm saying that that's what a lot of Instagram users enjoy doing.
Yeah, that's true. But if you got a small account, they'll just boot you. Goodbye. See you later. Peace out.
Nah, we're
Nobody
huge.
cares.
We're huge.
We're not even verified.
This is ridiculous.
What are you
Isn't that
wasting my
your
time
job,
then?
Robbie?
Robbie.
How do we get verified?
I don't know. I didn't know that was a thing.
I don't know it's a thing either.
Maybe they contact you once you get to a certain point. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Whatever. Doesn't matter. Moving on.
So we're going to run through, I think we're going to run through some news topics.
Talk about a couple different things. We want to talk about the new Top Gear.
We do.
Because quite a few episodes ago, I don't remember what episode it was. I think, if I remember, I went back and I listened to it because I wanted to remember our opinions on what we thought each host was going to be like. And if I remember right, it was episode 4, which was the Chicago Auto Show episode.
Okay. So we talked about Top Gear hosts because they had been released that week.
There's 15 million of them.
Yep.
Yeah, there's too many.
And
there's so many, they're not all on the same show.
Yeah, there's so many. There's 2 shows now. There's Top Gear, and then there's Extra Gear.
I think they went.
What?
Yeah.
There's Top
That's-
Gear, and then there's Extra Gear, and the hosts are split up between the shows.
That's stupid.
I think they went, oh shit, we hired too many people. Now what are we going to do? How you can't put this many people on one show?
No.
So I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but Extra Gear is where it's at.
Did you actually watch Extra Gear?
I watched all of it.
Because we should mention, you didn't watch, Robbie, all of,
I started watching the Top Gear.
and I watched 5 minutes of it.
And I've seen all of the first episode, and I have not yet had a chance to watch the second one, which is on my DVR.
And apparently the second one didn't do so hot.
Not
1.3 million less people even started that show than the first one.
But we won't go there yet. Let's talk about the first episode.
Yeah, so let's start with Top Gear, where it was mainly Chris Evans,
Yep.
who we said, I think all three of us unanimously agreed we were not into Chris Evans.
And this was before I even really knew who he was. I just kind of based on the few things I had seen.
Yeah, we just assumed he was a Ferrari snob, and we didn't like him.
But I've also seen a lot of British people don't like him either.
And then
Clearly.
Matt LeBlanc, who I believe Michael and I were on Team LeBlanc.
Yep.
Robbie was a hater.
I was a hater.
You were not into it.
Nope.
So, and then Sabine Schmidt made a short appearance on the Top Gear episode.
Yep.
I wondered if that was going to be the case. I feel like she's just going to be a little bit of filler every once in a while.
She was actually on both sections for a short bit.
Meaning,
She was on Top Gear and a little bit on Extra Gear.
oh, that's weird.
She was the only one
That
outside
crossed over?
of like the first like minute where they kind of introduced it that was on both episodes.
Okay.
She had a bit where she was driving the Corvette, the new Z06,
Yeah.
and Chris Evans was in the new ACR, and they had like targeting laser guns on them, and they were chasing each other around an Air Force base.
And
Okay.
I thought
In
it was
Top Gear.
stupid. I thought that was terrible. Did you?
So, one thing about Sabine is I didn't realize how thick her accent is.
Yeah, she's a little hard to understand.
She's very hard to understand. I don't remember her being that hard to understand.
No, I guess I'd never heard her speak. I just watched her racing videos.
She does a lot of yelling as well, from what I remember.
She does yell a lot.
Yeah, that's not very good for TV.
And then they had this bit where she, quote unquote, made a U.S. Air Force pilot throw up in a car, and I don't believe it.
Not for a second.
I'm sorry. What's a carpool? Maybe maximum lateral G, like 1.5.
Yeah, especially a car with street tires on an unprepped surface.
That's
yeah,
pretty
for
shy
sure.
of 9 Gs. So,
That was my thought on it too.
yeah. So the scripting is still there. They're still pulling
Yeah.
Top Gear
So
bullshit.
Chris Evans was better than expected.
I thought he was mind-numbingly annoying.
He was super annoying.
Like,
He
I-
screams a lot.
Yeah, he apparently yells.
He thinks he's the funniest person on earth.
Yeah, he does. But that, and I'm not saying I'm for Chris Evans. Don't get that twisted. But he was better than I had thought he would be.
Your expectations were so low
that he
that his terrible
he beat
performance
them.
was better than you thought it
Yes.
was going to be.
Wow.
That's
But-
impressive, I think.
Matt LeBlanc, I am incredibly disappointed by.
I'm still middle ground.
I thought that he was very dry, and he seemed like he was very uninterested in the whole thing.
I kind of felt that way about him in his interview, but I thought maybe he was having an off day. Like, he had just traveled from the U.S., he's tired, they made him drive around a racetrack, now he's more tired, and now we're going to do an interview.
Well, so here's what I'm hoping. And I know that you're going to kind of argue with me about this a little bit, Michael, but I'm going to say it anyway. The first season of the U.S. version of Top Gear with Tanner Faust and Rutledge Wood and Adam
Carolla.
Ferreira,
Not Corolla.
not Corolla. Two different actors.
Corolla does Datsun things.
That's right.
Yeah.
He has a podcast.
He has a podcast.
Yeah. No,
That's a good
comedian.
podcast, I think.
It's not a bad podcast.
Never listened,
I listen.
but apparently
if they have a guest I'm interested in, I'll listen.
he does car things on there every once in a while, I
Yep.
think.
It's not bad.
Yeah, that's why I'm confusing him.
Yeah,
My bad.
well, he had the car show, too, with Matt Farah and Dan Neal,
Yes, Dan Neal.
who now we are mortal enemies. And,
We are.
well, after he was on Matt Farah's talking about how he was going to turn Cannonball into
Oh, that's right. A rom-com?
Yeah. I was like, what is going on?
Robbie loves rom-coms, though, so he's
Robbie,
into
that's
it.
right. Robbie was in, so
And I really didn't like the Cannonball movies, so
you're fine with turning it into a rom-com.
I'm whatever. I just don't care.
Anyway,
He's got a soft
let's
streak
move
a mile
past this
wide.
before I get angry.
But anyway, where were we? I don't even remember now.
So Matt LeBlanc was a little
Matt
dry,
LeBlanc, he was-
and you were saying that the first season of U.S. Top Gear.
It wasn't great, and I think that show has gotten better as time has gone on, and the reason I think that has gotten better is because those three guys they went from three guys that were on a show to three friends that were on a show, and the friendship aspect of it is what has always made the BBC Top Gear that we all know and love. It is what has improved the U.S. Top Gear. It's arguably what makes us interesting to listen to, is the fact that we are friends, and because of that, we're easier to listen to. They're easier to watch. They're more enjoyable to watch. They're bantering back and forth. They're making fun of each other. They're poking each other. They're doing things that guys do when they're hanging out with their friends, and it's more. When you're watching it and you're enjoying it, it's more because you're enjoying them as friends than them as people talking about cars. And so, Chris Evans and Matt LeBlanc barely know each other. And my hope is that given some time, they will become friends and they will work together much better, and the show will improve over the course of time. But I don't think that the world is ready to give them enough time to do it, because they just expect them to come out of the gate at 100% and be as good as the last Top Gear, which isn't going to fucking happen.
I don't disagree with you, but I think Chris Evans has set himself up for failure by saying that his show is going to be so much better than the old one, and that they had so much better ratings on their first show, and, arguing with people on Twitter and being an asshole and, reports of him throwing fits and stuff like that. He has set himself up for people to hate him.
And he's done a great job of that.
And maybe that's his plan, too. Maybe he's like, well, if I'm an asshole, I'll get a lot of media. And so people will watch the show. If I'm an asshole on Twitter and saying shit to people and starting stuff, then maybe people will watch the show because they're going to, watch it to hate me or whatever else. No what? You
don't tune into a TV show because there's somebody on there you don't like.
Are you kidding me?
You need a villain.
Well,
dude, have you watched any of that stuff that's on all those like those women's networks where all those like the housewives stuff? They put people on there
is
specifically
that the crowd
for
they're trying
people
to pull
hate.
in? But I think that you, in those reality shows, you do have to have someone you don't like, but you're still tuning back in to cheer for the person you do. You don't come back to see the bad guy. You come back to cheer on the good guy, and the bad guy creates, something for you to hate, which is somewhat needed.
But Piers Morgan has made a whole career out of being an asshole to people.
I don't know who that is.
He's also a UK. He had a huge fight with Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy Clarkson punched him in the face. This was like 10 years ago on a Concorde flight. He took over.
I've seen one of those.
He took over. What did he take over? He took over somebody else's show. Did that for a while. I mean, he's made a career on people hating him. It's the same thing with like Glenn Beck or any of those people. People hate that guy. So he gets a lot of press. It's all about getting press.
Maybe I'm just weird, but if I don't like you, I don't tune in.
It's true, but people are talking about it. It's free advertising. If you're creating a PR, mess by being an a-hole,
it's not a good way to maintain a show long term.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that
I'm sure it's not the long-term goal.
right. He could.
You can't start out pissing everybody off and then hope to bring them back around again. That's not going to happen. They're out already.
Well, if you're assuming that less people are going to tune in, you give them something to talk about. You give them, whether it's a negative or positive reason, give them a reason to tune in, whether it's because they hate Chris Evans or they want to see Matt LeBlanc do well. They're going to tune in at first, and then you kind of take that asshole persona away, like his Twitter persona and his real persona, take that away on the show, and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm kind of into the show.
Yeah, he's not so bad anymore.
Yeah, then they kind of tune in because the show's good. Now that really didn't happen because there are 1.3 million viewers less this week, but
it may change though. I mean, you don't know. The other thing is Chris Evans is not an idiot. He has like 6 million people that listen to his radio show every day. He's not stupid. He's an entertainer that people like for some reason.
Well,
I'm not one of them.
And that's just in the UK. This is just a UK radio show, and 6 million people listen to that.
I think the British are a very different group of people than the average American. And so maybe they might like him, but I don't think he's going to do well here.
Well, typically the BBC is not giving a crap about what American.
No, and they shouldn't because they're not the ABC, they're the BBC.
Right.
And that's fine, but
Technically, their job is to appeal to people in the UK because people in the UK pay a fee for the BBC. Everybody pays it that has a TV.
yeah.
So they're getting they should be appealing to their license payers, which is people that live in the UK with TVs.
Which is fine. It is what it is, but I'm probably going to continue to follow the US Top Gear closer than the BBC or than the British one because I think it's better right now.
I would agree. And the one thing what my takeaway is that I don't know if this was the case in the previous years. Maybe I just didn't notice it because I wasn't critiquing it quite so much with the old Top Gears. But like everything seems so staged. The dialogue was really dumb when they were doing like I'm going to call them skits, but
It was bad.
like because they go to the Top Gear event, the area for their Vet versus Viper. So they get them on rocket launches. They're basically recreating the Top Gun scene where they try to lock on, and he's like, I'm gonna slam on the brakes, and he's gonna blow right by me. Oh, what's gonna happen? Just like in the movie. And then they kept quoting it the whole way through, and it was basically a recreation of the movie, and you knew it was gonna happen, you knew what they were gonna say, and it was just stupid. I thought it was very cheesy, very fake. I was not into it.
They tried too hard.
Well, there's a big difference between the culture of the old Top Gear and these new people that have no culture together, which is kind of what you were saying earlier. But I think everybody should read this book, but I think you two should really read this. On That Bombshell by Richard Porter, who was the script editor for middle Top Gear. I don't know what we call it now. But the one from 2002 up until 2015, he was the script editor or script manager, whatever that means. And so he talks at length about how, Jeremy Clarkson would not sleep at night because he was worried about the way that a joke flowed and the perception of it. Even down to the number of words and sentences and the analogies, because he was big on metaphors and analogies and things like that. He would be up late at night sending Richard emails about, we gotta change this word because this word doesn't make sense and it doesn't flow right if you say it this way. And so in my opinion, there's probably not that person on the new Top Gear that obsesses about how good it is. So what they're doing is they're taking their old process, which is creating a script, because Top Gear is scripted and it has been the entire time it's been in production, no matter what anybody says. And they're trying to write it, but they don't have that person that obsesses about those details. So it's never going to be as good. It's never going to flow as well. You're going to get bad jokes in there. You're going to get things that stick out like sore thumbs. And until you get somebody that's really that passionate about the writing quality, it's not going to be the same. And there's something about Jeremy Clarkson's writing that I've tried to cheat off of since I've started reading him. His flow is really, really, really good. His sentence structure is really good. The metaphors that he uses are really good. They're not clumsy. It's not clunky. You don't get run-on sentences. He's an extremely good writer. He's been doing it for, 30 years, 35 years.
I find it so hard to write that stuff and not have a bunch of run-ons.
Yeah, and he's got...
I'm so bad at finding a good way to cut off a sentence and start the next one and make it flow well.
And
he's really easy. I've noticed since we've started doing this and trying to write things here and there.
Yeah.
Run-ons after run-ons after run-ons. It's so hard.
He's really good at keeping things crisp and clean, short, gets his metaphor across, it makes sense, and it's entertaining. And he is really, really, really good at that. And that's why he's had such an illustrious career. But you don't have that person anymore. And who knows? That person might become Matt LeBlanc. It might become Chris Evans. If it's anybody, it's probably going to be Chris Harris.
I was just going to say,
more than likely,
because let's move on to the extra gear part. If you just drop Top Gear, the first section of it, and just gave us that extra gear thing on the back end, that was much, much better. It was something that I would tune in every week to watch for sure. It was it Rory Reed? Is that
Rory
his name?
Reed. Yeah, that sounds right.
And Chris Harris. They worked well together. I think Chris Harris, from like the podcasts I've listened to with him in it and the shows on YouTube that I've seen him do, I think he's just a friendly guy. when you meet Chris Harris, you like Chris Harris. End of story. And Roy Reed seems to be similar in that way. He seems to be very outgoing, very friendly. And so those two hit it off real well right away. And it's fun to listen to them. And they did like the news section, like what you enjoyed so much about the previous
Old
Top Gear.
Yep.
They did kind of that. And then Chris Harris, the new reasonably priced car track is a rallycross track, and they use a Mini Cooper. And Chris Harris took the Mini Cooper out and did a lap on the rally, or yeah, he did. Was that on the show or was that just on the internet? I don't remember.
I
know he also took the aerial Nomad out and did a lap of the Top Gear track with it.
I think that was online.
The Nomad was definitely on the show.
Oh, it was.
Well, Blanc did the Nomad.
I know, but then Harris took it out and drove it on the test gear. Or on the
I didn't
test
make it that
track.
far if it did.
Yeah, but that was way better. It was classic Chris Harris. It was, if you enjoyed watching his YouTube series, his drive stuff, his own stuff, you'll like watching Extra Gear. It was good to watch. It was fun. It was interesting. It was car related. It was entertaining. It wasn't forced. It was just what it was, and it was fine.
It wasn't trying to be something else, which is what the new Top Gear is it's trying to be the old Top Gear.
I don't even know that.
For now.
It just feels like it's really, like they're forcing it to be something that it isn't.
Yeah.
Extra Gear was just what it was, and it didn't come across as being faked or forced or whatever.
And Rory was good. I saw a preview.
Rory did really well.
And I thought he was very articulate as well, where, like we were saying, Matt LeBlanc was very flat. He seemed dynamic and exciting and somebody I might actually want to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, they were, for sure.
What about the other guy that I don't remember his name?
I don't think he made a showing on this episode.
Is he even in the second one? Is he a person anymore?
Can't answer that.
What is his name? Eddie? Ed?
It was that Formula One.
Yeah, he owned a team for a while and
did some commentating.
I think he did that for a lot of years.
I don't remember who he was, and if he was on it, I missed him.
Yeah, he was kind of at the bottom of my list anyway, because I was kind of like, who cares?
Rory Reed and Sabine Schmidt did a thing together in the Extra Gear where they went and visited her house, and then they drove around in her ring taxi.
Okay.
Because she does. That's what she makes.
She got an M5?
No, she's a 911 ring taxi.
Fair enough.
Like roll caged, race card, the whole 9 yards, passenger seat. But I was like, he was like talking about how he was real apprehensive about getting in the car because she's got this notoriety of making people sick,
which I think is faked.
Yes.
Well,
as we've said, I'm not really sure she made Chris Harris throw or Chris Evans throw up either. I think that might have been BS, but anyway, continue.
Yeah, I don't know. But then they just like went for a casual drive in the countryside with her 911 ring taxi.
Weird.
They're in Germany at her house next to the Nürburgring with a 911, went for a casual country back road cruise at the speed limit.
Was it a funny bit?
It was kind of funny because she like took him to her house, and so her house looks like it belongs in Montana. Like she's got pigs and horses, and you walk into the house and it's literally a saloon.
Weird.
Yeah. Log cabin, the whole 9 yards. It's crazy. And she was like in the fence, like inside with the pig, and she was feeding it. It wasn't like our little pink pigs. It was a different one, like a pot-bellied pig or something. Some different species of pig than what we think of when we think bacon, pork, pig. And she was feeding it, and he was like, oh, that's kind of cool, whatever. She's like, yeah, you can't come in here. He'll kill you. Just like straight up. Okay, I'll just stay on this side of the fence then. That's fine.
So, Extra Gear is where it's at.
Yep.
Yeah.
Watch Extra Gear.
Skip the first hour, watch the second.
Is that how they're doing it?
That's how the first one was. It might not be that way moving forward.
It kind of sounded to me like Extra Gear was going to be an online-only deal.
I would be really disappointed if they do that and then make me pay for it, which is what I'm afraid they'll do, because I'll be really sad if they take my Chris Harris away from me entirely.
Yeah, that's why he left Drive or The Drive or the Drive Network.
Whatever it is
Or
these
Drive.
days. I've heard a
There's
couple
two of
people.
them. There's the Drive and there's Drive.
I've heard a couple people refer to it as Underdrive because it has that slash in the front of it.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I don't think that's what
I
they're
don't think
getting
that's
at.
what it's
I don't
called.
think that's right.
It's
Underdrive.
not.
Who said that?
Just
a random person?
yeah, just
Okay.
people I meet.
Not a notable
Not-
person.
Yeah. If you listen to the Smoking Tire podcast, Matt Farah refers to it as the Drive Network.
So what's Drive?
It's a YouTube channel.
And the Drive is all of the above and the website?
Yeah, I think the Drive Network is everything. The TV show on CNBC Sports.
Which is called Drive Plus.
No, Drive Plus is what the YouTube channel is now. There is a
Holy shit. So
There's
Drive
too
Plus
many
is the
names.
paid for
Drive
thing.
Plus is the paid for. So
And then there's
if
Drive.
if you're watching something on YouTube that was released recently by the Drive Network and you're not paying for it, it's only a short snippet of the whole video.
Right.
And you have to be a Plus member to watch the whole thing.
And then there's Drive Plus, which is a subscription. There's Drive, which is not subscription. There's
But
the
it's always
Drive.
just shortened versions of what's on Drive Plus.
There's the Drive, which is the website and the network, and then there's what's on NBC. Drive?
I think it's just called Drive there as well.
But there's two different have you noticed there's two different Facebook pages? There's Drive and the Drive.
Are you sure they're related and not the Drive isn't someone trying to steal off the name?
No, I'm sure that they're similar but different. It's the same people.
Are you sure it's the same people?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
a
I'm not
weird
going to
deal.
argue because I don't have any clue.
It's very weird though. Confusing.
Very.
Should we move on? I don't have a lot else to say about Top Gear. I'm cautiously pessimistic, honestly.
I think it's going to get better, but I think it might take 2 seasons.
What I'm afraid of is that the world is not going to give it enough time to get better enough to matter. I don't think that they're going to make a second season, especially if the Grand Tour gets out the gate before the end of the first season of Top Gear.
Oh no, they'll just start firing people. They'll just let people go. If LeBlanc doesn't pick it up, they'll let him go. If everybody hates Chris Evans, they'll let him go. You know, they'll just put new people in. That's what they did.
I think
after
it's going to be.
the
I think
first
it's going to be a
episode of-
very volatile thing for the next couple.
I
for
mean,
at least the next 2
original Top
seasons.
Gear, which nobody has seen because we're not old enough, that had people in and out all the time. I mean, they were switching
Yeah.
people out constantly.
People don't realize Top Gear's been going since like
77.
Yeah, this
or
is
something.
the 23rd season.
that's not even entirely true.
No, there's like, I don't even, because
Is there?
there's more than that. Because,
Is there?
yeah, to go all the way back to, I literally think it was 1977 is when they did the first one.
All right. Well, this is labeled as season 23.
So they're continuing this as,
Yep.
why would you do that? It seems dumb. They should just start over. Blank slate. This is different. Let's try not to be anything that we're not.
I don't know. I'm tired of Top Gear. Let's move on.
Moving on. Let's do the news.
More newsy type topics.
All right.
Better news.
Well,
This isn't better.
no,
well,
it's still a negative.
Better
thing.
than Top Gear.
I don't know.
We're the next Top Gear. We like to pretend that.
Okay.
What do you got, Robbie?
Jalopnik this week kind of did a bombshell on Hennessy and made a bunch of claims about how terrible of a business they are and all the lies they've spread.
So did any of you two, did you two know anything about this Hennessy deal before this came out?
Not a word.
Nope.
Because it's very interesting because, and everything we're saying here is allegedly, don't come sue us. We don't know any of this for sure. But allegedly,
If you're going to sue someone, sue Jalopnik.
yeah, don't sue us. We don't have any money anyway. So supposedly, John Hennessy has been doing this for years and years and years and years.
And not just this business, other businesses he's been involved in.
Jalopnik says that he's had 3 different businesses. They're all been some form of Hennessy, like, you know, because this one is Hennessy Performance Engineering, is that right? HPE. And then there was Hennessy Performance, I think, without the engineering, and then there was like Hennessy Company or something. So he's had different companies over the last 25 years, I want to say, that he's done different performance things at different locations in Texas. And supposedly, he's kind of rolled into the next business to kind of get away from some of the issues that he had with the previous one.
I guess outside of financial issues, how do you get away from issues if you're using the same name?
Well, I think he made his name originally with the 3000 GT. I'm pretty sure because he did.
Which is weird because you wouldn't think that.
Well, so then I think he switched to the Viper. He moved on to the Viper, and then it's very known in the Viper world that he's had some not so great business dealings. Because if you go on the Viper forum, and even Jalopnik posted this, there's a whole thread about how terrible John Hennessy is.
But you see, this world is not big enough anymore for someone to get away with it like that. I wouldn't.
Well, I think that's the point of this article. Maybe a lot of these dealings that he's done in the past were in the Viper would have come out in the early 90s. So if he's doing shady stuff in the 90s, even the early 2000s, that stuff may not have gotten out.
Didn't make it to the internet enough to be common knowledge.
Right, and so now he's gotten to the point where, you could be anybody and you could tell your story to the whole entire world.
Right.
You could just be the smallest, nobody gives a shit. Oh, John Hennessy screwed me over. He posted online, and all of a sudden it becomes viral and it blows up. And that's what happened. The article was about this guy, Ali, I think is how you say his name, from Qatar.
Yep.
He bought a Corvette, or he had intended to buy a C7, and he bought it through John.
Yeah, so he gave Hennessy a $70,000 down payment, which would include the initial purchase of the Corvette and then the start of all of the performance modifications that he planned on doing, which of course would mean more money later.
Right.
So
he just wrote him a $70,000 check, and the car. This was in like 2013.
Yeah,
he wasn't getting a car for a long
ago.
time.
That wasn't a car at that point, was it?
Well, it would have been probably just a concept at that point.
It was a preemptive purchase. It was he bought it with the intent that as soon as that car hit the sales floor,
Hennessy would get one.
Hennessy would buy it, start working on it, and
ship it to Qatar.
Yeah, within a year have this completed vehicle.
So supposedly, as of this article being written, which was, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago now, but he didn't have the car, and he had been pleading, specifically John. He'd been talking to John. There's emails of him saying, I want my money back. You don't have a car for me. You haven't even purchased it. It's not like it's in the shop being worked on. I want my money back. And as of the writing of the Jalopnik article, he had gotten back a total of $5,000.
Yeah, and the crazy part of it was he wanted his money back so he could purchase a Corvette himself to ship the Corvette to him, to Hennessy, so they could start working on it. I would have been done
for sure. I would have bailed
years ago.
Yeah, that guy's way not going the right way.
No.
There's more than one Corvette tuner in the world.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Just a few.
Yeah, just go on ProCharger's page. They love posting pictures of Z06s that they've taken the heat pump, as they like to call it, off of the top and put a ProCharger on the front of it. And look at all the power. It's
800 wheel horsepower.
Yep. So, yeah, there are tons of places to take your money that is not there. So I'm not sure what his motivation is for having a Hennessy quote car, but he apparently still really wants one. But the really interesting thing is, you go back and look at some of the Viper stuff that he did. I was seeing there was a complaint about a guy that ordered a Hennessy cam, a quote, it's a Hennessy whatever cam for a Viper. So he ordered it, and when he got the cam, it came in a Hennessy box. But supposedly he took it out and measured it. It was an OEM Viper cam.
Yeah,
how fucking shady is that, dude?
That's another complaint, was that over the years he's been doing that for many parts. He would buy, it'd be like taking a Godspeed or a Megan 240SX part.
Oh, real cheap shit.
As cheap as you could possibly get, stamping the Hennessy name on it, throwing it onto another vehicle and claiming it as this ultra high performance, faking dyno sheets, the whole 9 yards.
The other thing that supposedly happened was he would have cars in the shop that weren't done. He would take parts off of those cars and put them onto other cars to finish them, and then he would call the owner of the first car and try to sell him an upgrade to replace the parts that he took off.
That, or send him pictures of the vehicle that's torn apart saying, we are working on your car. Really, we're just stealing parts and giving it to this other guy to finish that project. So
as part of this Jalopnik article, Torchinsky, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah, Jason Torchinsky.
He talked to a lot of people, and he talked to former employees of Hennessy. I mean, he did a lot of research. It was a great article, actually. And he said that if people started getting... So part of the quote policy was if people had cars in there from out of state, they were lower priority. Because if you're in... I think maybe he's in Dallas. If you're in Dallas and you got a client in Dallas and his car's in there, he can walk in any time and start harassing you in person about why his car's not done. If you got a guy in Pennsylvania,
Bet your bottom dollar I will be too.
yeah, if you got a guy in Pennsylvania, it's going to be harder for him to come in there and be like, "What the hell's going on in here? Why isn't my car done?"
And, and if it's international, it's not a priority.
Yeah, apparently, because you're on a 4-year waiting list.
Plane tickets aren't that expensive when you're having John Hennessy modify your brand new Z06. A plane ticket's not that expensive. I'm pretty sure I'd still be having a face-to-face chat with him.
So would I.
Maybe I'm a little old school, but I just like having face-to-face with stuff. Like, that's why I still use an insurance agent that exists in my town and stuff like that. So if shit hits the fan, I can go talk to him.
Yeah, you show up face to face with your lawyer standing next to you.
I'm pretty sure that I'd be still having a face-to-face with John Hennessy if I lived in Pennsylvania.
Qatar.
So back to Robbie's point, if they had somebody, especially out of state, that was getting uppity with them, and the car was sitting there, like say they got a stock Z06 in and they hadn't done anything with it, they would separate the engine and the transmission from the chassis and send them a picture and say, hey, look, we got the engine out, we're working on it, even though they had done nothing with it. The other thing was, it's harder to repossess a car that doesn't have an engine and transmission in it.
I disagree with that.
Where is it? You can't repossess an engine and transmission that aren't yours. Which one's yours?
I guess.
It just makes it muddy.
Right. It slows the process down for sure.
Yeah.
You're not going to send a repo dude in there, guns a-blazing to pull a car if there's no engine and transmission and you're not sure which one's yours. Sure as hell is not doing that. It's shady, dude. It's for sure shady.
This is just making me angry. This is the type of shit that makes my blood boil. This is why I want to get into the performance industry and be a shop. It's because I want to not do that.
But a lot of people kind of accuse... Well, I think in the past, he's gotten a lot of bad press on the forum and stuff, and people gone, yeah, but John's such a great guy. Like, you know, all the stuff that he posts online, he's such a cool dude. He talks about, you know, his customers and all the stuff that he wants to do with his shop, and he's building the Venom, and like, how could you talk shit about this? But
the Aerosmith guy has his Venom.
Yeah. So apparently, you know, John kind of took on this rock star persona per his employees, and he's just a sales guy. I mean, he's just larger than life. He's a big deal. You know,
He just says yes.
Look at how
He's a
awesome
yes
I am.
man.
Yeah, and you know, he's got some people behind him that have cleaned up some messes, and it's kind of all been re-exposed. I think now that it's such a big shop, it's a big deal. You know, somebody's pulled the cover off again and said, "Not everything is not what it seems."
Which might explain why they're trying to sell that track.
Right? Yeah, we talked about that. We were like, why would they? Like, why does Hennessy care about selling a? I can't even remember how much money it was.
It's a couple $1 million
like,
drag racing
why
track.
do they give a shit? Like, couldn't they use that? It's on their property, but they're
trying to sell it with the intent to still use it whenever they want. They just need $2 million to cover their asses to clean up this mess.
Yeah. So
it all kind of makes sense if you look into it.
So you know what this really means for us here at 1010's podcast?
we got to start a.
Can we start a
Corvette tuning shop?
1010's
No.
performance?
No, that means that Michael needs to change his rich guy daily driver.
Go on.
He's got to change his too. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's right. Both of you guys got to get new rich guy daily drivers because you chose the Hennessy Velociraptor
And I chose
Robbie.
the
I did.
Escalade.
and you
I did.
chose the HPE 800
Escalade.
Escalade.
Dang it.
And I chose a car from a reputable manufacturer that I can get.
He chose the world's ugliest car.
Good guy Porsche over here
Ugh.
getting my car to me.
Oh, don't even start. Would Sir like the radio removed so it's more, quote, track ready? We will charge you $2,000 for such a service. You want to talk about keeping parts and charging people for them. Don't get it twisted. Just because they're from Germany.
Oh, my
Nah,
God.
we Germans are straight shooters. I don't know what you're talking about.
That could go a lot of terrible places, but we will
Move it on.
Move past it. Robbie, real quick, what would you change your rich guy daily to?
I'd probably just get a different. That wouldn't be a Velociraptor
Just
anymore.
find a different company that does
Yeah,
Raptor
I'd get a
things.
different Raptor.
Think so? Stay with the truck?
I think so. I'd definitely stay with the truck, and I think I'd just stick with the Raptor.
Michael,
I think I'd get a Giulia.
on the spot.
If we don't need a truck to tow our track car, which I still have an issue with, I think you might still need one.
You will need a truck.
It depends.
I
I know. If we're saying
You guys are adding. You guys
we
were
can get-
adding rules post.
Hey, this was a dream garage. This wasn't a dream garage plus another garage to keep my car hauler.
But we didn't say that this was the all-encompassing garage. We just said here's a couple topics. You pick a car in each of those categories that you would like to buy if you had the money or the ability.
You can do as much backpedaling as you want. By definition, dream garage is one garage.
All your vehicles, one garage.
I don't agree.
It could be an airplane hangar. It doesn't matter. It's one garage.
I don't agree.
If I'm playing by Adam's twisted reality where you can have multiple garages full of whatever the hell you want.
These are just categories within your dream garage.
I would have the new Julia.
Trust me, if we're going to go over my entire dream garage, we're going to need a longer show.
We're going to redo that episode because I think we've all changed
I definitely have changed quite a bit.
I think we should do it like annually, but I don't even know if I can wait that long.
Well, now my hypercar, my hypercar changed too. Because I had the Venom.
There's a new version of my hypercar.
Oh, that's right. Robbie's like not getting any of his cars.
Right. You chose two Hennessy's.
I did.
See, you fell for that Rockstar. I'm a bit larger than life. See, that's what he's good at. That's what John is good at.
Yep.
All right.
You got to have those people too.
Fair enough.
That's why he's been successful, and why a lot of businesses are successful. Because you got one guy he's literally like a fucking rock star, and he walks on water.
Yeah. We have that sales guy at my office.
Doesn't mean that they're a good businessman.
On my end, I think he's probably our worst sales guy, but he is definitely got that larger than life persona.
Yep.
It's very true. Let's move on.
Moving on.
Is this one happy?
Maybe?
No, this is going to be an argument. We're talking 100% going to be an argument. Continue.
I've got, actually, just real quick.
Backpedaling a little bit.
No,
here.
I'm not. Nothing about Hennessy. You say, we need more happy news. I had more than one person tell me that last week's news section was the best one we've done yet.
Oh, really? Because we were talking about really, really terrible.
Gruesomeness. And it was bad.
It's not my fault that Google doesn't think about how their new invention is going to tear people's faces off. That is their problem. They pay people so much more money than I make a year. Like multiples more. And nobody thought, it's going to tear your face off.
There's people at Google that make more in a day than I make in a year, and they couldn't come up with that. Come on.
Flypaper for human beings. Yeah. There's nothing that could possibly go wrong in this scenario.
Moving on.
Well, since you brought it up, the Porsche, I don't know, what do they call themselves?
You talking about their aftermarket division?
Yeah, it's their restoration, keep their cars on the road division.
Oh, yeah.
Porsche Classic, I guess, is what they call it. They came out with this new navigation radio system that goes where the old radio goes in like the 1980s Porsches.
And it has navigation. It's got a little screen on it, and it's got turn-by-turn, and I think it looks quite cool.
I am shocked that this is coming out from Porsche. I had no idea that there even was a Porsche Classic, which I think is really neat. I think all companies should have something like this, or at least there should be a company out there that's dedicated to...
Any company that cares about their heritage.
Yes.
Yeah, Lamborghini and Ferrari and Alfa Romeo, they all have...
Do they?
Yeah.
The more you know. I had no idea.
But, I'm surprised that GM and Ford don't have that to a bigger scale. I think that they...
Yeah, you think they'd be like a Corvette.
They'll restore a car if it's going to a museum that's related to them.
Yes.
But I don't think they do customer cars like Porsche or Lambo will.
Yeah, I think the Chevy only ever did it with that Corvette museum that kind of sunk into the hole.
And they do other cars for those sort of things, but I don't think they do them for customers.
Right.
And I don't even know that GM does it. I think they might just pay a shop to do it.
Right. Well, I think this is really neat, and I would probably go that route too if I had that type of car and I wanted to bring it up to date and replace the old shitty radio with a newer, nice radio that's going to fit perfectly and be an exact quote-unquote OEM replacement.
This is good because, I constantly find myself getting in my car and going, I don't have a navigation system possibly in my pocket or attached to the head unit or anything like that because I don't walk around all day with a phone that also does, navigation and has internet on it.
Michael doesn't like this idea,
This is
by the way.
the stupidest thing.
You don't like...
You know how much this thing costs?
It's like $2,000, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay that.
You have a phone already.
So I'm not going to lie. Never looked at the price.
Yeah, ridiculous.
I like the idea. I did not like the execution.
There's a company that's been out for the last 15 years called Retro Sound. They make the same thing. It's $170, and you can use your phone for navigation.
Does it have the word Porsche written on it?
Exactly.
No.
It's going to hurt it. It's going to hurt the value of my car, bro.
So stupid. So stupid. That is just a toy for people that have way more money than sense. You'll never use it. It's 3.5 inches. You can't see a fucking thing.
Oh, how big is your phone?
Oh, how big is your phone?
Your iPhone is 4.7 inches. Have you seen a 3.5 inch screen? It's fucking tiny. Your phone, Robbie, is probably 5 inches or bigger.
That's what she said.
Oh, I was waiting for it.
3.5 inches,
Or bigger.
and it's down here. You can't see a fucking thing on it. It's
So-
not. How are you going to put any addresses in there?
Does it have like an aux input and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That's what I'm more interested
You're
in.
going to pay $2,000.
If you're restoring your
For a
heritage
radio.
Corvette or Porsche, you are.
Yeah. If I was
It's a lifestyle
if
I'm
I
not a
was the
part
type
of.
of person who wants to build a car to go park it on a concourse golf course somewhere, I would be more apt to pay for that.
You would fail. You would get marked down on a concourse for that.
It's OEM.
It's not, though. That is about originality. That is not original in any aspect of the word except for the fact that it fits in the same hole.
Well, which brings up
Phrasing.
perfect. Well, which brings up like maybe that's why there isn't more of a Corvette or Mustang type OEM backed classic.
Because people don't want them to be original.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you restore a '68 Camaro, you're not putting a newer radio in it. You put the old 8-track maybe, or you.
You put
That's not true.
you
They
put the
actually
retro
make-
sound unit
Yeah,
in.
you put the retro
Do you?
sound unit that looks identical. My dad has one in his Formula. It looks just like the original one. Goes in the original holes,
Right.
plugs into the original places.
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth.
Ah,
Or my dad's doesn't have Bluetooth because he bought it long
There's a
enough
li-
ago
yeah.
that wasn't a thing.
Yeah, it's got
But-
aux in, though.
But it had FM on it, which the original one didn't.
right.
It has an aux in on the back if you run it a cable. If you wanted to run a cable, it has
Has a remote.
it has
Ours
a remote line out so that you can power up amplifiers. It has CD changer inputs if you wanted to put a CD changer in the trunk or in the glove box or wherever
Right.
you want to put it. And to the untrained eye, it looks like the original radio.
That's exactly the direction I would go. The only I've seen it before where they wanted to have that original radio looking
Yeah.
dash.
Yep.
And then
And-
they mounted a CD player in the glove box. So they had two radios.
Yeah, I've seen
So-
that too.
And that
I've seen people
worked really
wire
well.
wire the volume to that potentiometer on the old radio.
No.
I've seen that before. So
That's
you're actually
so much work.
I know
though.
you're actually
God,
adjusting the
that
old
would
radio, but you're
suck.
running the new one. You might as well just run the retro sound. I could see if you're
But
a Porsche
does retro
restorer-
sound make
hold
a
on. If you're-
Porsche?
Hold on, he's Captain interrupting. You know,
A little
Fuck
bit.
yeah, I am.
so I can see that if you're restoring, you've got a 1968 Porsche 911 SC, you want to pay more than $2,000 for an original restored radio. I'm in on that. For this stupid little tiny LCD that you can't see that you're going to end up using your phone anyway, it's a complete waste of money. And now it's not original.
But
don't see the point.
Is there any other competitor in the market besides that radio from Porsche that will go into my dash that I don't have to modify it like Retro Sound? Does Retro Sound make a Porsche radio? Because if they don't, I want to update my radio. What am I to do?
I guarantee you for $2,000 you can find an electronics engineer that will restore your radio. For $2,000?
But it won't have all the things I want. It won't have Bluetooth. It won't have FM. It won't have an auxiliary input. It
Right,
won't.
but my point is you're not putting that stuff in a restored car. Not in a restored
but-
original Porsche. You're not putting that stuff
So
in
what
there.
if I want to build a Porsche like you have for your Camaro, where it's just a semi well restored car? From the outside, it looks relatively original, but it's a driver that I enjoy.
Cut a hole in the dash. What do you care? It's not
Cutting a
original.
hole in my Porsche?
Sure you are.
No,
Somebody makes that part. I guarantee you that there's a repo for that part.
I bet there isn't.
Cut a hole in the dash. Who cares?
No,
if
I
it's
wouldn't
not
cut a hole in
original,
the dash.
if it's not original, doesn't matter.
Well,
It's going to save you literally $1,500.
yeah, I don't think if you're restoring Porsches, who fucking cares about $2,000?
Again, it's not a restoration piece.
Resto modding Porsches.
Then you cut a hole in the dash.
I don't agree with that statement at all.
What are you talking about?
You didn't cut a hole in your Camaro dash.
Yeah, I did. I absolutely 100%. You want to walk over there and look at it? There's a
Well,
hole
maybe yours, but you just said you guys have a retro power, so I'm guessing it's in your dad's.
in the 68.
Yeah,
Because
you
it's
didn't cut a hole in the dash.
$150. It's cheaper than most aftermarket radios,
Well,
and you don't have to modify the dash.
Yeah, there's no way I'd cut a hole in the dash of my Porsche unless I was doing radical other modifications to it.
No. See, I guess I didn't realize it was $2,000. I like the idea of there being a classic restoration company. So the fact that they're doing this, I like. I don't like $2,000. I would not really care to put navigation in my Porsche. But if Porsche came out with an updated, like say they're going to put a CD player or
just a normal radio,
exactly,
that doesn't have nav.
That makes more sense to me.
To be honest, I don't understand why people pay for navigation in regular modern day cars. Like you've talked about, your Rogue doesn't have nav. That's fine. I wouldn't have paid for nav anyway because I have it in my pocket all the time.
Yep.
I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. It's the other features that radio provides that I was interested in.
I think that they should make that radio that looks original, that does everything that this does, minus the navigation. And you know what? If they want to charge $2,000 for it,
so be it.
I don't even care. But this whole nav feature, it just feels stupid.
So then that I'll agree with. I agree the nav is dumb. It's the rest of the features of the modernized radio that I was interested in.
Okay, that's all I wanted to get into this.
Are you happy with that statement?
We're actually all saying the same thing.
Apparently we all agree with what... Okay, fair.
That's all I wanted, was just everybody to agree that the navigation is stupid.
No, I think navigation is dumb. I don't know why people pay what is frankly absurd amounts of money for navigation that, number one, you already had in your pocket, and number two, is not really updatable.
It is. You can replace the maps.
Yeah, because that's what I want to do every time I go on a trip.
I think GM's new thing is, we got 4G or whatever. So yeah, it'll update.
Oh, you know what I want to do is
Yeah,
I want to add another line to my phone bill for my car.
Oh, I don't even know if you can do that. I think you got to pay for it separately. I think it's a separate service.
I don't want that either.
With OnStar. Somebody told me you can spend like $50 a month on subscription stuff for your GM car now.
I'm surprised it's not even more than that, because you can get internet, just wherever you're driving.
Yeah.
So that can't be cheap.
Maybe it
I
is
love
more
it when
than that.
on the
It has to be
commercial
more.
they talk about, this car has Wi-Fi for your kids. Yeah, they're just using a data plan. Woo!
Oh, shit. What do you mean they're using a data plan? How much is that costing?
Yeah,
I don't know. It seems crazy.
Of course, GM thinks that we're all morons and we need to describe cars with emojis, so
Yeah.
let's not go there.
So, Ford is coming out, or supposedly, this was rumored in Australia, according to this page, that the Ford Focus is coming out with an RS 500.
Yes.
So, fun fact, not 500 horsepower.
No.
No, but neither was the RS 2000.
And even of a less fun fact, no more horsepower than the other one.
Then what's the point?
It's got more aggressive aero, a different transmission,
Because every time I'm going to
carbon
work, I'm like,
fiber.
if I had more downforce right now, this would help my commute.
It'll switch from a standard 6 to a dual clutch unit.
So they made it less.
sequentially shifted.
It does not.
No, it's gonna be paddle shift. You know
No,
it is.
I'm out then. Never mind.
Yep. Okay, here it
I
is.
thought this was cool. I'm not interested anymore.
All right, instead of adding power, they are going to improve performance through better tires, which you definitely couldn't do on your own, weight reduction, more aggressive suspension calibration, carbon ceramic brakes,
It just
and
means the suspension's
removing
harder.
the rear seats and switching the standard 6-speed to the dual clutch.
So they already use like Pilot Super Sports or something like that on there, which are an incredibly expensive tire. If they're moving to a quote unquote better tire, I don't even want to know what tire they're using and how much.
Oh,
it's
that
gonna
tire was
cost.
specifically developed for that car.
Are they going
as
to use
well.
like Pirelli Corsas or something like that? I mean, what are we spending money on here?
Well,
Am I going to drop $2,500 on a set of tires every 4 months for my Focus?
No.
For my Focus?
I had also heard that 235 is about all you can get under that thing.
yeah.
They're maxed out as it is, so I'm not sure. They're just going stickier on tires, apparently.
Yeah, I'll just put an RE71 on it and move on with my life.
Suspension, companies sell that, so that doesn't really seem to buy anything.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really.
Weight reduction.
I'm not seeing it.
I could take my seats out for free. So
Yep.
I'm not opposed to the dual clutch thing, but I'm not sure that they needed to come out with a whole new car for it. Should have just been an option for the original.
What else? What are we missing? Carbon fiber
They
stuff?
said some carbon fiber. And
I
more
do like
aluminum.
carbon fiber things.
Removing sound deadening material, using carbon fiber and or aluminum components for the suspension and body panels. They say it could possibly cut 220 pounds.
We take the seats out. I mean, my
Yeah.
God, that's
Yeah,
a lot of the
take your
weight.
seat
and
Not if
sound
they're
to
just back seats. Back seats are surprisingly not heavy.
Yeah, I say the 240s weighs maybe 15 pounds total, 20 pounds.
take all that sound deadening out. That's probably quite a bit of it. Carpet,
Yeah,
probably change the
I don't know.
carpet.
Yeah, I know like the I mean, this is a little bit older, and sound deadening's probably got better and lighter since then. But the BMW E30, they use like this tar in the trunk for sound deadening, and there's like 85 pounds of sound deadening in the back of that car.
Wow.
That's so stupid.
They remove it with dry ice.
You freeze it.
It's quite a process.
Neat.
I think it's either dry ice or heat. There's a couple different. No,
Wait a minute.
They're a little bit different there.
Yeah.
No, there's a couple different sound deadenings in that car, and depending on which one you're removing, you have to use one or the other process.
And if you get it wrong, it ruins everything.
yeah,
And-
probably. It just makes your life.
Get
But I
sticky
think the
tar in the
trunk
back of your
stuff
car.
was dry ice, because when Chaz bought an E30 track car that sat in my driveway for a year and never moved, he was really excited about the fact that the previous owner had already done that.
Huh.
Neat.
So when are you buying your Focus RS 500?
I'm gonna have to take a hard pass on
You
that.
know what
I
I'm
think.
going to buy? If I'm going to buy a Ford, this is going to be a shocking revelation to anybody who knows me.
You're
I'm
gonna
definitely
buy
not going to buy a
three-cylinder
Focus.
Fiesta. Three-cylinder Fiesta.
I would buy that over the Focus.
That thing is
Sure.
sweet. Have you seen that thing?
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Three-cylinder Fiesta. You kidding me? Awesome.
I'm excited.
Chuck that thing around all day. Red line, red line, red line, red line.
I was going with Mustang GT 350R.
Oh, that's a
but-
revelation?
but,
Really?
You don't say.
You don't say.
no.
The best car they make right now.
Honestly, I think more people would expect me to buy a 3-cylinder Fiesta than a Mustang.
That might
is
be
true.
true.
That is true.
People who know me, I think they'd be more surprised that I'm interested in buying a Mustang than a 3-cylinder Fiesta.
What's
for
that?
sure.
What's the Mustang cost?
100
A
gur.
lot.
100 gur with.
What's your Fiesta
well,
cost?
what's it, sticker or what's it cost?
Yeah, those are two
Because those
different
are
things.
not the same.
What would
thing.
it cost you?
$100,000.
All right.
Yeah, sticker's like 65, I think.
Between 65 and 70.
Okay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
what
The
about
dealer
your-
markup's out of control.
What about-
Fiesta? 18 grand probably.
If that.
And how
Well,
much-
if you're just buying the 3-cylinder, which is not the ST, I'm assuming.
Right.
I'm pretty sure the ST
Less
was
than
like
that.
20. So I would think that
16?
yeah, we're looking at 15, 16 grand for a car.
And it's manual, dude. You can get it with a manual.
Slamming
Well, I would
gears.
hope so.
Yeah, 3-cylinder turbo. Dude, it's 1 liter and it
1
makes
liter.
like 140 horsepower. It's out of control. It's sweet, dude.
We should get one. A 1010s Fiesta.
Will it who?
We could have a Fiesta with our
We could
Fiesta.
have a Will It Hoon
We could
episode.
have a Fiesta in our Fiesta. Is that the reference you just made?
I did.
It's a nice little car. I like it. I seriously thought about buying one instead of the Veloster. I didn't get to the point where I test drove it. I was
maybe
like,
you should test drive one.
I think if you're going to compare Fiestas to Velosters, you have to at least talk ST
the ST is,
to Turbo Veloster.
yeah, it's quicker. I'm thinking about it. I'm not going to go there. Let's not go down this route because everybody's going to say I'm wrong and they're wrong, and I just don't want to go there.
Okay. And we'll wrap this up with not really car-related news.
Let's end on a really sad note.
Like we did last week, because it worked out really well. 2 fighter jets crashed in the same day, which I don't know if that's really...
And not at the same place,
Not
right?
the same place.
And in the U.S., and they were the what do you want
The
to call
elite
these?
of
Yeah,
those
so yeah,
flying.
They're
Yeah,
like
you-
the show teams.
Basically, because you had the Blue Angels,
Yep.
and then you also had what would basically be the equivalent of a Blue Angel doing a flyover for the Air Force graduation.
Yeah, that was called. Does anybody remember what they were called?
Thunderbirds?
I don't know
No,
what
I don't
they're
think
called.
that's true.
The
Oh, you're right. It was
air-
Thunderbirds.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. It was the Thunderbirds. The Air Force Thunderbirds.
It's extremely rare for a Thunderbird pilot to crash, quote unquote.
Yeah, that was the first article that happened earlier in the day.
Yep.
So the Thunderbird crashed in F-16,
Yes.
and he was doing a graduation in Colorado.
And
He ejected.
He ejected and lived.
And I think he was fine. I think they said he was walking around
Yep.
even, so he was good.
They ultimately said that they thought that was pilot error, is what it looks like they said. I have not
I'm
followed
not-
up.
I
What
don't.
it is most of the time?
No,
We got
mechanical error.
equipment failure. Yeah.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah.
I figured those things are so like to the nth degree that I would think it's
You would-
pilot
you would
failure
think
more
that?
often.
But I've worked in the aerospace industry for 2 years now. That is not the case.
Are you afraid to fly now?
Yes. I have heard so many stories about people telling me what the mechanics do to with our products, what the mechanics do to them once they get them and put them on the engine. I don't want to fly. It scares me what other people do once they leave our building.
I don't doubt that for a second. Being in the car world as much as we are,
Yeah, no.
and seeing all the sketch-tastic things that people do to cars, I can't imagine.
I'll tell you things off mic. I won't say
I
it
don't
on
even know
on
I
the-
want to hear, frankly.
Yep.
I'm not flying anymore, so it's fine. And
Until
then
this hits it huge, and we got to be flying from one side of the country to the other to make an event.
no, we're getting motorhome
That's
caravan.
right. We're
dude.
buying RVs and
Yeah.
race car trailers.
Yeah, so we're all going to get an RV, and then we're going to get a race car trailer, put it behind there, and put our race car in it. So we'll have 3 RVs, 3 race car trailers, and be homeless.
I think what we
And-
need to do is we need to make the liveries go from one to the next, so that when we're driving down the road in a line, it says 1010's podcast down all 3 of our RVs and trailers.
You really thought about this.
No, that just hit me.
Oh.
So
Michael's not into
I'm
it.
not into it.
No.
Michael's the less is more guy, and I'm the more is more guy.
Adam
So.
is add more opulence,
And then
and shit on top of it.
somewhere in the middle. I keep you
Which
guys
is weird
because
because Robbie's the racer, but whatever.
He's just going to have underglow on his caravan.
I totally will.
I might join you
I
with the
totally
underglow on
will.
the caravan.
Mine will be bumping down the road with the big giant subwoofer setups.
Yeah, you'll go with gold lights. I'll go with green lights just to piss you off because you hate those colors.
Oh, do you hate gold too?
I don't know.
You have a gold car,
I
sir.
don't hate gold.
No, well, he hates
Tan or whatever you want to call it.
I don't like the color of my car. I think it's fucking hideous.
Well, I always tell him he needs to paint a car green with gold rims, and he hates that.
I
Yeah.
hate green.
That was
Green for
I
the
actually
money.
like gold rims. Like a
really?
blue car with like gold BBS snowflakes.
Are you telling me you like
Hard,
you
dude.
like yourself
Like,
a nice WRX?
No, not that type of gold. I'm talking like chrome gold.
He's talking like
gold,
100 spoke gold Daytons.
24 karat gold look.
You should
Not
do it, dude.
into it.
Get a 63, okay? Put bags on it. Get some Daytons. Drop that shit down on the ground. 3-wheel that thing around.
Tell you what,
For sure. With Fleck in the green, yes, sir.
I'll do it.
I'd be on board with that.
Yeah.
I'll do it if Robbie builds a lowrider 240 like we've talked about in the
You
past.
can't do that.
Why not, Robbie?
That's just not right.
You know what? Every trend was started by someone going, fuck you, I can.
Fuck you, I don't want to. We can do so much better than that.
Oh, boy. So, back to serious sad news. We really suck at doing serious news.
Yeah, we
So then, later in the day, like not even that much later in the day, like 4 hours later, the Blue Angels FA-18 crashed in, can't say that town, Tennessee. Look at the... Smyrna.
Smyrna.
Smirnoff.
Nope.
Smyrna.
Smyrna.
Definitely Smirnoff.
SMYRNA.
Tennessee. Yeah, and unfortunately, in that incident, it sounds like Captain Jeff Cuss, I think is how you say his last name, died in that.
Yep. That plane hit
That
the ground
crash.
and exploded.
So supposedly, I think he had just taken off. It didn't sound to me like he had enough airspeed and he stalled out. Crashed.
That's kind of what it sounds like.
So, and if those of you that don't know airplane things, stalling out is basically you don't have enough airflow over the wing, and you lose lift and you plummet. And if you're high enough
really-
up, you can obviously
Recover.
when you come back down, you get enough airflow over the wing and you're good. You know, you've got lift again. But if you're too close to the ground, it's
can't recover.
yeah,
There's
you
No
can't
coming
recover.
back from that.
No.
So, my brother-in-law was an in-flight refueler, like
Oh,
the
man.
boom operator.
Intense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
hard pass on that for sure.
he's got pictures of him refilling fighter jets and stuff like that over the U.S.
That's
So
pretty cool.
It's really cool.
That's a hard-
I'll see if I
that's-
can find some of those pictures.
That's a hard
They're
job
really
for
really
sure.
cool. Now he's in pilot school.
Nice.
He teaches other people.
No, he's going to be a pilot.
Oh, I got you.
He has
yeah.
he has a private license and he's in Air Force pilot school right now to fly an Air Force plane.
Nice.
That'd
Not a
be
lot of
cool.
people can do that.
Yeah,
That's-
not many
that's
people.
Very selective.
Not many people are allowed to do that. That's cool.
I'll bet it took over a year from the time they said, "Yeah, you're going to go to school," to the time they said, "This is the school you're going, and here's where you're going." And then a week later, he was there.
Wow.
The government is a terribly inefficient thing. But that means my little sister's moving to Texas.
Oh man.
Oh, crazy!
So
Really?
She'll like this shout out. They actually listen. So
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah. I like how we brought that up right after we talk about two pilots crashing. So
Yeah, sorry.
He'll appreciate
Sorry.
that.
nah,
Sorry, everybody.
I believe that he'll be all right.
He will be.
I don't have anything else.
Statistically speaking, it's still safer to fly a plane than drive a car.
It is because the quote for quality in the aerospace world is 99% is not good enough.
Well, I mean, just like statistically, percentage-wise, more people die in a car than
Oh,
in
yeah.
a plane accident
Oh, yeah.
annually.
Got anything else, Robbie?
Not this week.
think we're good.
we're gonna. This will be a quick one. We'll go to Grid Life. We'll
Yeah,
have
we said
a
this
lot of
is-
stuff next week.
We said this is going to be a quick one. This one's like an hour and 10 minutes.
It's still quick.
That's still quick
quicker
for
than
us.
most.
We really suck at following through on plans. We said,
Well,
hey, we're going to keep this
so-
show. At the beginning, we're like, hey, we're going to keep this show to an hour. That failed. And then we're like, well, we should keep track of how short we keep the show. And, it can go over an hour, but not too much over that. We started going hour 45, and fuck it, doesn't matter. Hey, we should do a short show before we go to Good Life because we're going to be doing a whole bunch of other stuff. And then we went an hour and 10 minutes.
I think that's perfect then. We did. Good job. Go team.
Go team.
See you on Thursday. We're going to Grid Life. And if you're listening, we'll see you next week because you'll have some pretty awesome stuff.
Did you practice that sign off? Because that was like really. Did that feel rehearsed?
It felt good.
It felt really.
Should I do the sign-offs more?
This is non-alcoholic root beer.
I'm gonna be drunk as fuck.
On
Crunk
normal
as
root
fuck.
beer.
I think is actually the proper
Crunk.
term.
It's got sugar in it, I guess.
Let's get crunk.